Good morning and welcome to the debate show. Of course, all our shows this week have been dedicated to our friend McGrath, our producer, creator, host, and friend as well. And so, this being the week ago that once we wrapped up today's show, unfortunately, we found out that our friend had gained his wings. But we know Mac is with us and has been with us all week in all of our shows. And now we remember him with laughter and love and smiles. And of course, Miss Linda, we continue to think of you and send you the best of condolences and wishes. I'm joined this morning by, of course, Jack Hirsch and James Martin, Jtrain. And this is one of our favorite shows of the week where we debate all the most controversial topics in sports. Most of these questions, most of the time, are posed by Jack, and he has never failed us once again. Make sure you guys download the Roku app. We're going to start out with Draymond Green. We'll get there in a moment. Jack, I know you're itching to say something. Go ahead.
Well, going forward, don't give me credit for setting the questions up. It's our questions. We're setting it up. If they're bad questions, I don't want to get blamed
Oh my
for it. Let,
gosh.
let us
Okay.
all get a little
Jack,
bit of blame.
Jack
You know,
already
sometimes there have to be
early.
audible. There sometimes have to be audibles on the questions. You know, we like to have them in advance because we like to think a little bit. I can usually make up my mind for the moment, but there's some questions in general where I just don't know the answer to. I mean, I don't know. I could go either way, and I need convincing. I need to be sat down and someone has to
Well, we
explain the
know, Jack.
argument. But in
We
the Dra-
know.
in the Draymond Green situation, actually, it's a little bit complex. He is a little bit of a victim here. He really is a little bit of a victim. He has tremendous impulse control. I mean, he no impulse control, and it doesn't make him a bad person. The nicest person sometimes acts up on the spur of the moment. You know, you have to react to certain things, and his
Jack, I didn't even
reaction.
finish my introductions. I didn't even finish. You just took
Oh, you
everything.
didn't even finish. Oh, go
No,
ahead. They
it's
don't know who we
okay.
are.
I
Sonia,
guess
they don't know who I am.
you
I've
had
been
that
doing it
extra
for a
jolt of
while. I
coffee.
mean, we never even. Go ahead.
I just love you, Jack. You had that extra jolt of coffee. Good morning, Huddle Sports Network. Of course, Bistrilla and Richard. I was going to tell everybody, make sure you download the Roku app so you too can be in the know when we are live, 24/7 sports without the cost of cable. Also, make sure you subscribe to National Streaming Sports on YouTube and all the social media affiliates. Jack, take it away.
I
J
mean,
Trey,
I know.
how are you doing? How are you
I
doing?
know. I know. Mac trained you to get on me. I know. You know. I see Mac's
Tracy.
stamp on you, so the tradition continues. Thanks a
He's like,
lot,
get
Mac.
him, Sonia,
Okay.
get him.
Okay. But
Yes.
Draymond Green, okay, complex individual. I mean, he hasn't gotten into trouble with the law. If you sit down with him, he seems like a nice guy. He speaks well. He seems like an intelligent guy. But some people have impulse control, and it's never going to get better with Draymond Green. I don't think it will. You know, he could be given training or whatever, but he reacts the moment he reacts. I was disappointed in Draymond Green the other night. I'm always disappointed when someone plays the race card as an excuse. And I don't want to hear about societal issues. I don't want to hear about it in relation to Draymond Green. This is about Draymond Green. It's not about society claiming, well, he's perceived as an angry black man. Yeah, Bill Laimbeer was perceived as an angry white man. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear about it at all. I think it's pretty pathetic on Draymond Green's part to start bringing that up. And I know you know, there might be some people out there listening who are going to disagree, but don't tell me about societal issues in regard to Draymond Green. But with that said, I think Draymond Green's a bit of a victim here. I really do, because a number of these fouls, these players are flopping. They're over dramatizing the whole thing, and the officials are letting them get away with it. So whenever Draymond Green's arm gets up, I mean, it's an Academy Award acting job by some of the opponents on there, and he's getting called for technical fouls, and he does have a reputation, and that unfortunately plays against him. So they're gonna. So he's a little bit of a marked man as far as that goes. So Draymond Green should focus on that end of it the opponents aren't really being as abused by him as it's made out to be. Now, I know he's had incidents. It was horrifying when he grabbed Rudy Gobert in a chokehold. Someone could die over something like that. He gives someone a hard elbow to the mouth. He took a cheap shot at his own teammate Jordan Poole. That was crossing the line of truly being dirty. But Draymond Green's got issues, and he doesn't seem to be taking accountability for it. I mean, he just doesn't seem to be taking accountability for it. But he is a marked man to a degree. He's under the microscope. When he comes back the next time to play, everyone's going to be watching him. The slightest thing where Draymond Green fouls someone, the opponent might go crashing on his back, try to invoke the sympathy of the officials. But to play the race card, pretty pathetic in this instance, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, so if Jtrain, I'm sorry, I haven't even gotten a chance to say good morning, but let me address Miss Linda's comment first. Hi, Miss Linda. Good morning. She's like, welcome to Max World. And you know what, Miss Linda, I've seen episodes. I guess now that I've been on for a little bit, Jack is full blown Jack on me now. So it's no more bracing. So he's giving me everything he's got. And don't worry, I'm definitely telling Mac. And I know he's smiling as nothing changes. Richard is helping you pronounce it, Jack. We have already told you this. It's Draymond. But Richard is helping you out. Good morning to you, Brent. Jtrain, how are you this morning?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. And Jack, I appreciate your banter and being your usual self. This is what Mac would want for you to continue on to be I guess what we would call you in sports. Maybe not you don't party like Dennis Rodman, but Dennis Rodman was the pest to all the other opposing teams. He knew how to play his role well, and I think you know how to play your role very well, and it's very much appreciated. It brings out the best in all of us, I think. And what I would say is that in regards to the Draymond Green incident, look, I gotta agree with mostly what Max said. I mean Jack said. Excuse me. I always used to mix you guys up all the time with what you said, because I don't think you should pull the race card so quickly. It's it's too it's too little. It's look, you have a history. Like you said, you have a history. This is the issue with Draymond Green. He was born in the wrong era. He should have been in the '60s and the '70s and '80s. That was the era that Draymond should have been playing in, because his style of basketball was appreciated. His style of basketball was clamoring. It was like the gladiators. These guys fought back then, and everybody loved it. So how he plays now, obviously the game has changed. Things have changed. He's just born in the wrong era. I just think, and like you said, Jack, any little thing he does is going to be like exponentially micro, like put under a microscope. It's going to be something that like they look little things, like you said, guys may be flopping, but he's brought that on himself. He's punching people in the groin, grabbing somebody by the neck, knocking your teammate out. I mean, that kind of stuff. So it's it's on your record. So it's unfortunate that you get, blamed for things that you've done in the past, But look, the little things you do, it's what it is. You got to play differently, especially now that he's aged. You gotta figure out ways to keep that under wraps. But I also, again, I have to agree with you. I don't think that's going to change. That's just who he is.
I want to weigh in a little bit if I can before Jack comes back, because I know it's going to be 30 minutes after this that I get a chance to speak, and I'm going to forget what I'm going to say. I am like, I'm kind of like how Bistrilla said, he likes him, but he needs to just shut up and do his job. Let me tell you something. Ever since he attacked his teammate, Poole, they trade Poole. They don't trade Draymond, of course, because he's bringing the numbers to the team. They trade, in my opinion, the victim. Anytime you attack your own teammate, I have nothing else for you. When I say nothing, every time he plays, if it wasn't for Steph still being on that team, I wouldn't even watch the Warriors. I think everything that's going on right now, sometimes, even though you don't want to be judged on your past, if your past is just recent past, then you're going to still be subjected to that same treatment. We are not talking about a Draymond Green who did this stuff 5-10 years ago. We're talking about within the last couple of seasons that this behavior has come from him. And so to me, that's very recent. It shows the character of who you really are. Yes, you could put up numbers, but mentally, you are horrible as a person to your colleagues, to your teammates, and even to players on the other team. You should not be intentionally grabbing someone in their private area, trying to hurt them, trying to debilitate them. You are trying to get a ball, and it should not be by any means necessary, including the victimization of other players in this sport.
Yeah, you didn't mention also, Sonia, and I didn't mention in Jtrain, Kevin Durant too. He had the incident with Kevin Durant, and it may have led to Kevin Durant leaving the Warriors. And when Kevin Durant was given a chance this past season to come back to Golden State, Phoenix is going to trade him there. Kevin Durant elected not to go back. And you got to believe it's in large part because of Draymond Green.
Draymond's a bully. He's a bully in that organization.
I don't think he's a bad person. I just think he gets emotional that moment.
So no, Jack. So in that moment, you grab someone and basically humble them to get a ball. In that moment, you step on people.
No, that's a game. I'm talking about with teammates. Yeah, he gets competitive. He does the wrong thing. He crosses a certain line, but I don't believe he wants to injure someone. I believe Bill Laimbeer wanted to injure other players, get him out of the game.
What's
and Bill Laimbeer's goal was to win. It was to win.
What's the difference between him and Bill? Well, that Bill wanted to.
Okay, I'll tell you the difference. Draymond Green is more along the lines of a Rick Mahorn. Larry Bird said when he drove the lane, Rick Mahorn would knock him on his butt, hit him really, really hard, but never tried to injure him. Just tried to make his physical presence felt, which he did. He said Bill Laimbeer tried to actually injure him. And Larry Bird, he hates Bill Laimbeer. He had no respect for Bill Laimbeer to this day. Because when you try to injure another player, you're crossing a line. You're crossing a line very badly. I don't think Green wants to actually injure someone, hurt him. I mean, the two of them are going for the ball. They're having a tug of war for the ball. He responds with a hard elbow, maybe to the face, or something along those lines.
I would say I have to agree with Jack on here in regards to Draymond Green. He's reactionary. He doesn't really just come out and just bully people. He's reacting, and in regards to his teammate, Poole is not necessarily the innocent one in the situation. He yapped his mouth a little bit. There's more information about it that him. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think the impulse control is the thing that Draymond Green has. But Poole definitely mentioned something about Draymond Green's money and everything like that. That was more contract, so it was more personal, and so that's why he got a clock to the chin. Not saying he deserved that, but he did open his mouth and say some things. So that, like, talking about somebody's money in somebody's pocket, that's a no-no in the NBA or in any sport. Most guys don't do that.
I mean, Bistrilla brings up a good point. I guess he wants to be a Piston. He wants to be a bad boy. Like you said, Jtrain, he should have been born in that era where he would have played with Dennis Rodman and them. We probably would have seen a different Draymond, and he's setting himself up to be talked about in a negative way. Let me give you guys a history lesson for our viewers that don't know all of the incidents that we're talking about with Draymond. Let's take it back to December 2023. He struck Nurkic in the while playing against the Suns, swung his arm, struck the center in the face, resulted in him being assessed a flagrant. Okay, that happens. Ejected from the game. That happens. Chokehold. Number 2 incident, November of 2023, which was actually before December. Chokehold, guys, on Rudy Gobert. During an altercation with the Minnesota T-Wolves, he put him in a chokehold. Of course, ejected, 5-game suspension. Then, same year, 2023, stepped on Sabonis during the Kings game with him, ejected and suspended after stepping on his chest, y'all. He stepped on his chest after Sabonis fell to the ground. Green stomped on him while walking away. I saw that game. I don't know if that was intentional or not. could have been, nonetheless, you could have killed that man. Real talk. Then he kicked somebody, Steven Adams, in 2016 in the Western Conference Finals against OKC Thunder. He kicked us another center in the groin, assessed a flagrant. Then it was upgraded to a flagrant 2 upon review, but he was not suspended. Then he punched his own teammate. And like, this is a history. This dude, like, I'm reading it, guys. I literally pulled this. This is a chronological, not necessarily in order, but a basic bullet point of all he's done. You punched Jordan Poole during a practice. Yeah, thank God it wasn't during a live game, I guess. 2022, but the video was out. I mean, talking about this man's money should not warrant you getting punched. I'm sorry. I know that it's a no-no, it's taboo or what have you. Then he had contact with Nas Reed and Fred VanVleet during the 2025 playoffs right recently. Technical foul for hitting Reed of the T-Wolves and VanVleet of the Rockets in the head/face with your arm while flailing after being fouled. So you throwing a tantrum that you've been filed, and in so you make sure you go ahead and get a hit in. Let's not talk about, all the other stuff. Steven Adams, I think I talked about that game with the groin incident, altercation with LeBron James, who don't have one with him in the 2016 finals. They basically got tangled up. Green made contact with LeBron's groin area. This is what you do. You aim for men to humble them. You want to take them down. You want to demand them. And I hope, and I know this probably sounds biased, I hope the refs tech him every single time. I want him ejected after every single incident. I don't even want a review. I don't care if it's fair or not.
What I also forgot to mention during the Jordan Poole thing is that the video footage shows that Jordan Poole pushed him first.
Okay,
and
well,
most
that's
guys
different.
will say, if you don't put your hands up, you open for that. Not saying you should have punched him, but he did push him first.
No, Jtrain, but you don't punch your teammate in the face.
I agree.
You shove him hard back.
I agree.
You
don't
grab
punch
him. You maybe toss him down or whatever. But there's certain lines you don't cross. And
this is where I say it got personal. It was with the money thing, I think, and I think they were just going at it, and then it got personal because of the money thing. And then, like I said, he pushed him. Like I said, at that point, it was just too much. And I'm not saying Draymond Green does not deserve what he gets. He does.
But I'm
giving more context of what happened.
But the same video says that Draymond ran up in his face. If you run up in my face, I'm automatically going into defense mode. Poole didn't run up in his face and then push him. Green ran into Poole's face, and Poole was just basically like, get back. And that's how it started. But at the end of the day, Green instigated. You run up in my face. I don't know what's coming next. I'm going to push you back to distance myself, to protect myself. And so when he did that, then Green thought it was okay to punch him. So that I just pulled the context of the tape because I didn't realize that. Now, if you're saying Jtrain, Poole, ran up and pushed him, that's the difference maker. But if Green is the aggressor, which it looks like by this account he is, you run up in my face, and they always say F around, find out, that kind of thing. This is what happened. And then they moved Poole off the team, and Nightmare, because they wanted to call him Draymond like a dream, Nightmare is still on the team.
Yeah, but why is this big news all of a sudden? Draymond Green has been doing these things for a while because he's playing the race card this time around, and I resent that because there are enough problems in society, legitimate problems that have to be discussed, have to be worked out, that truly do exist. And it throws everyone off. And it was all over the media and all the talk shows about him claiming he's an angry black man. Draymond Green is not an unpopular play on balance. I don't think he is. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'll tell you who was the most unpopular play in my lifetime, I think. This is just my opinion. Christian Laettner. He was considered a bully, a dirty player, immensely disliked. I mean, you could talk about with Kentucky, Duke, Christian Laettner stomps on a player's chest. Why didn't he get kicked out of the game? That was crazy he was allowed to stay in the game. So Draymond Green, rather than discuss the issue, I would have respected him a lot if he says, look, they're flopping these guys. They're over dramatizing things. Just watch the tape. And half the time, I think they are overreacting the opponents. They're doing like a great acting job because they know they're going to invoke the sympathy of the officials. That's what I would kind of focus on.
At this point, he just needs to understand impulse control, like you said, and understand that your history brings about this. There's nothing to be explained. There's no race card, like you said, needs to be pulled. You have to understand who you are. You were a part of a great championship team. You got 4 rings, and he's a big part of that. And so this is who you are. That's why they kept him, Sonja, because he was a big part of them winning the championship.
And he took that leave and went to some type of anger management or something. But we see it's only cooled down some of the incidents.
He's never going to
change
role
on their team, which is why he's still on the team. That's why they let Jordan Poole go. Jordan Poole never won a championship with them. Draymond Green did, and then, again, he's a big reason.
Jack said it right though. Yeah, go ahead, Jtrain.
Yeah. So the reason he's still there is my point in saying that is because he brings ratings and he brings pedigree for championships, and that's just there. The evidence is there of what he's done, but that's negative. But the evidence is there as well of what he's done that's positive for that team, and the evidence is those 4 trophies that they have. And so again, then like Jordan said, I'm not winning championships without Pippen. I'm not winning championships, those last 3 championships, without Dennis Rodman. And we know what Dennis Rodman was, what he did. Jordan knew that. They were willing to tolerate him. It is what it is. Just kind of the same thing. They're willing to tolerate somebody because of what they can bring to them for championship. Now, does that change when you start to age, or when you start to, maybe that's why he's bringing a race card out, because he knows maybe his days are probably numbered. So he's figuring something else out. But either way,
that's crazy.
I just think he's frustrated and he lashed out because he's concerned also about his image. And I'll grant you, he might be a very nice person. Okay, by all accounts, he's a good guy, and if we got to hang out with him, chances are we'd like him a great deal.
You got a bodyguard if you hang out with him, that's for sure.
Well, I didn't hear that, but whatever. But he's not going to change. I hate to say it. He's going to have these impulse problems. It's going to happen again. So if you're the Warriors, you have to learn how to live with it. He's going to get suspended from time to time. You have to put up with the suspension. But what Jtrain said, it's about value to a team. Draymond Green was more valuable to Golden State than Jordan Poole was. But when Kevin Durant was on the Warriors, notice who they suspended Draymond Green for his interaction with Kevin Durant. If it was a lesser player, let's say it was with a bench player, an 11th man on the team, I don't think Draymond Green gets suspended by Golden State. I think he's just hustled into the office and he's given a talking to and asked to apologize, and case closed.
Yeah, let me grab some comments. I will say this. Draymond Green is not going to change, like Jack said. He took some time off. I think they sent him to anger management or whatever, behavior management, whatever, after the Jordan Poole incident. He came back. He may have had lesser incidents, but it's still the same type of Draymond. You just can't change a tiger's stripes. Let me get some comments. Richard says Rudy is a coward and Green was protecting his teammate. Bistrilla, of course, says Draymond has 20 flagrant fouls over a 13-year career. Guys, that's a lot. And he said this is the NBA WWE league. Let's move on because we have given Draymond, in my opinion, way more than what he's due. But kudos to him. And that's why he's probably on a team like the Warriors, because he likes to be a warrior. All right, the second question now, as we move on, thank you guys so much for your input. Continue to share, like, and engage with us this morning. The New York Knicks, as you can tell, my coffee has finally kicked in. I bet at the beginning of the show, I was like, yeah, good morning, guys. So anyway, the New York Knicks, Mac's team. Mac, I think you're up there handling, getting some prayers answered or something, because they are 2-0 against the defending champions, the world champions, the Boston Celtics. Now, let's be clear. There's been some absences that have been noted throughout the team. And I don't mean necessarily out of the game. I mean player absences. Like their potential has not been shown in this playoffs. The Knicks surprisingly holding a 2-0 lead over the Celtics in the best of 7. This game may go down to 7. This series may go down to 7 games, guys. Knicks secured both. The New York Knicks currently hold a significant 2-0 lead over the Celtics in their Eastern Conference Finals. Game 3. I feel like I'm getting some feedback here. Hang on. Game 3 is scheduled to be played today, May 10th in New York City, where the Knicks will have the opportunity to take a commanding 3-0 lead. Now, historically, the teams that make a 2-0 lead in the best of 7 series have very high probability of winning the series. So the question is, are the Knicks going to get this done? Are we looking at a Celtics team that may not be doing a repeat, guys?
We might, if the Knicks are to win this, I think it's going to go 7 games, believe it or not, because I think the Celtics assert themselves today in game 3. Their shooting has been historically awful in the first 2 games, awful. And they just had to make a shot here and there, and they would have been at least 1-1, if not up 2-0 in both games, having 20-point leads, letting it get away. They couldn't put the ball in the basket. Percentage-wise, it's got to stop. They can't shoot that badly. If the Celtics are going to take anything out of going down 2-0, they should just look at the Cleveland-Indiana series. I mean, they let a couple of leads get away. Indiana won both games on Cleveland's home court. They go back to Indiana, and Cleveland completely dominates last night. And they're missing Porzingis. I mean, he's playing, but he has a virus. They're missing the real, Porzingis. He's not the player he can be because, he's been in ill health for a couple of months. But if you believe the Celtics were going to win this in 5 games, then the series is just starting now for them, okay? Because there's 5 games left for them to win 4 games to 1 and to get it done. But of course, this game 3 is pivotal. If the Knicks go up 3-0 and you give them 4 cracks at the apple, it's going to be hard for the Celtics to hold them off. But then you think of the Celtics pedigree. We're thinking, defending champions, this and that, Tatum and Brown. Well, they've only won 1 championship. Think of all the years Tatum and Brown have been eliminated. The last, 9, 10 years or whatever. And they were down 3-0 against the Miami Heat a few years ago. They won 3 in a row to force a 7th game in Boston, and they lost that one. So it is a losable series for the Celtics at this point. But the crazy thing is the Celtics are down 2-0. They're going to New York for the next 2 games, and the odds makers have the Celtics as slight favorites. That should tell you a lot that they're not really believers. But I think today's pivotal. I think the Celtics win today, and then the way we look at the series is going to be so different going forward.
I mean, Jtrain and I talked last night on our show Friday with the Fellas, and B. Striller was on there. B. Striller is commenting tonight. Celtics are 25-100 and 3-pointers in 2 games. Can't win games like that. Jtrain, I mean, it's kind of going to sound a little repetitive, but it is the talking point of today. The Celtics are in a make or break situation, a win to stay in type situation. I mean, do they come back or we see a dire situation? Do they come back? Or like Jack said, we just don't know. This question is posed because no one knows. I mean, no one knows, but we're debating this morning. What's your opinion on that?
Well, it's big. You have to look at what they did last year. When they got to the playoffs, one of the biggest factors for them winning a championship was Kristaps Porzingis. Him being able to play. He didn't play in the regular season in the last couple of months due to his injury, but having him back, that made a big, significant change. And then also, when Jason Tatum was a player to have some slump, Jaylen Brown stepped up. He stepped up. We're not seeing that right now. Drew Holiday is a great 2-way player, defender. Maybe age is starting to hit him to where he's not as good. And then the matchup between Karl Anthony Towns and Al Horford seems to favor Karl Anthony Towns right now. They're both similar players. They both can step out to the perimeter. They can defend. They can play in mid range. I think Karl Anthony Towns and being combined with Jalen Brunson allows for them to be a formidable matchup nightmare for Boston, and that's what's going on. But at the same time, let's not discount the two games that the Knicks won were comebacks. So that means you have to look at Boston a little differently. Say what's going on that you're losing a lead, 20-point lead in the
Mhm.
latter parts of both games. So with that said, if Kristaps can come back a little healthier, I like Boston in 6 or 7.
I
I
mean,
think
that's what
Boston.
I was. Exactly what I was gonna say. If I could just weigh in real quick, Jack. I know you probably want to say that. I want to talk about, like you said, they've been blowing these large leads. I mean, 20 points, guys, is insane. You got to really be playing. That's not just a coincidence that the other team gave up. You are playing double what they're playing to come back from such a large deficit and to blow that type. I mean, their defense was intense for a full 48 minutes, guys. They blew multiple large leads in consecutive playoff games. This is historically uncommon. And it does raise the questions about their closing ability. Nate said it last night. You have to be able to close out these games. You cannot come in here. This is the finals. You can't underestimate any team and think they're the weaker vessel. Everybody got here because of their hard work. Records throughout the season don't matter at this point. It's about closing out these games. They have been having horrible 3-point shooting capabilities, have not been shown whatsoever. The entire starting five for Boston is responsible for that. Inconsistent offensive execution in clutch situations. They've been just outplayed by the defense, by the Knicks on every single thing. Of course, Porzingis' health impact, he has this viral infection. They're saying it's not COVID, but he's been extremely limited. His presence is definitely more of a leader, in my opinion, than what we've seen in Jason Tatum right now, because this defense of the Knicks, all the different plays and tricks that Tom Thibodeau is coming up with, is definitely showing that they have all the tricks in the bags to make it happen, and they are silencing Jason Tatum in clutch situations.
It's great you mentioned Jason Tatum here. Are we giving him too much of a pass? The Timberwolves, when they lost the first game to Golden State, everyone's talking about it, especially the Timberwolves coach Fitch. Anthony Edwards got to step up, show he's a leader, show you're a superstar if you're Anthony Edwards, get your team back on track, which he did. What about Jason Tatum? He's got to show that he's a superstar, that he's a take charge type guy. I mean, I don't want him splitting the billing with Brown on the team, because Brown isn't, to me, as good a player as Tatum is, even though Brown got the MVP in last year's finals. I want to see if I'm Boston, Jason Tatum step up, take control of the situation. But at the end of the day, it's about hitting the shots. Now, James mentioned Al Horford, the matchup against Karl Anthony Towns. Horford has to deal with Mitch Robinson too. The Jets could throw Towns and Robinson in there, so they have that little bit of an advantage. And you kind of wonder, Drew Holiday, is he getting a little long in the tooth? He was under the basket where he could have scored an easy 2 points last game, but instead he kicks the ball out past the 3-point line to Brown for a shot. And even though I'm rooting for the Knicks, I'm saying, what's he doing? It makes no sense. Take the darn 2 points. It's like they're not focused. But at the end of the day, it's simple. The Celtics just have to knock down the shots. And they haven't been doing it. If they start doing it, they'll be fine. If this shooting, poor shooting continues, they won't be. But percentage-wise, they're going to be doing a better job shooting a ball than they have been. So that means the Knicks have to step up. What can the Knicks do better? No one is focusing on that at all, because the Knicks won the first 2 games.
Right.
And if the Knicks don't have much
keep doing what
room
they're
for
doing.
improvement, but if they don't have much room for improvement, if the Knicks can't do a great deal more, then they're really in trouble.
Yeah, they're really in trouble.
Yeah,
Well,
because
nothing,
they can't
so
afford those big leads like that to try to come back. That's exhausting. That's really exhausting to try to come back and beat a team. So, but again, like I said, it has to be something more so in what Boston is not doing to close the gap be clutch in the end and win the games. And like what you both said, Jason Tatum needs to step up. But at this juncture, is he that guy to do that? So I have to look at the team as collectively and say, what were you doing last year to what you're not doing now, or are you in the matchup against a team that's more formidable? I don't think so, because again, both games you're ahead by 20 plus points, and then you let those leads go. That's something within coaching to me, and I think trying to adjust in your matchup.
I want to pose a question to both of you, which I don't think has ever been posed in sports history. This is a first. The Knicks are up 2-0. They're going home. Any team going home with a 2-0 lead, their next two games at home, should the Knicks be happy with a split at home? Would you settle for a split if you're the Knicks to move closer to, the 4 games you need to win the series? So you go back to Boston up 3-1, 2 of the next 3 games at Boston and 1 in New York, but you have 3 bites at the apple. Or if you have the choice to say, no, I want to win both games at home, I'd be happy with a split the next 2 games. Go up 3-1 and, have that margin, move closer, to winning 4 games.
Was there pun intended there, Jack? You said New York, 3 bites at the apple. That's pretty funny.
Oh no, yeah, I'm just right. These things come out.
He's a wordsmith, Jtrain. He's a wordsmith. He's a writer for the boxes. He knows.
I got to use that line now. I'll take credit for it if it takes off.
That's pretty funny. But I think again, we're supposed to be at a debate show. I have to agree with you that I think they'll be happy with the split because they have an opportunity. They go up 3-2. They have an opportunity. They show that they can win in Boston.
3-1.
Yes, excuse me, 3-1. They show they can win in Boston, and they have a good opportunity to go back there and win again. So yes, I think they'd be happy with the split.
I mean, I'm kind of the opposite because not because of statistics, what's proven in here, because the Knicks have been known to travel well. They've been known to win on the road. That's the only caveat here. I'm always, though, a sucker for winning at home, especially in the finals. Like, your crowd is there. You got the momentum, and why not go ahead and celebrate in your hometown? I mean, you take a win wherever you can get it. But I'm just like, if you could get it done at home, get it done at home. And sometimes we've seen the finals look like, especially towards the last 2 games, that they want to almost lose this game so they can bring it home the next game and close it out. And I've been like, why would you do this? Especially with close games. Don't do that when you are literally competitive. Do that if you're pretty much the assured winner to, blow somebody out. Yeah, Jack?
And the Knicks have kept their popularity big time. They've never lost it in New York. The cheap seats, if you want to sit in the last row, it'll cost you $700. So, have a last row seat for this game. And it's not the NBA Finals. And chances are the prices are just going up.
Oh, wow. All right, guys, we're going to try to get to our third question. Jack told us to make sure we left enough time. We got 20 minutes to discuss this one. We're going to keep it with the NBA today. This is probably going to be our last question because it's so
I thought you're getting the retirement number thing.
Yeah, you want to talk about that as opposed to the Magic Johnson question?
Yeah. The other one is generic. We could talk about that any week. But
we'll go back.
It's all about timing, Sonja. I mean, Mac really trained you.
Jesus
it's all
Christ!
About timing. I mean,
Mac
trained Mac in you.
Well, you have 19 minutes.
You look better than Mac. I'll give you that much.
You just gotta let other people.
Substantially better than Mac.
Oh no, Mac! I didn't say that. All right, next question. Should a number that has been retired be made available for an active player to use? Look at the Abdul Carter situation. I mean, he reached out to, was it LT, wanted to get his number. LT like, nah, man, get your own number. I earned mine type thing. Guys, I really did not like that. I mean, he could have said it a little better than that. But yeah, he has earned his stripes. That's my opinion. He has earned his time in the league. The number's retired for a reason. It should not be put back into use. But there was just a better way to handle this. What are you guys' thoughts on that situation with Abdul Carter?
Well, I'll
Okay.
say I always thought that if I was a player, if I was a great player, and they wanted to retire my number, I'd never want them to retire my number. That's what I used to think.
Mm-hmm.
I thought to myself, I would want to have to say who would wear my number, though, if they were willing to retire, where I would allow a player to use it. But now, but so many numbers are being retired now. And I don't like the idea of a number being taken out of retirement. I mean, what's the purpose of it? So it was LT's number. I thought LT put it perfectly in his statement. He didn't want to relinquish his number. LT wasn't being selfish. He wasn't being selfish at all. Abdul Carter, he's young. If anyone was being selfish, it was Abdul Carter. But I think Abdul Carter's heart was in the right place. Why should LT give Abdul Carter his number? Phil Simms is going to do it. And then Phil Simms' family didn't want him to do it. They talked him out of it. Phil Simms shouldn't do it. Get your own darn number. You want the number 11? Get 111. Okay? Get your own number. When Aaron Rodgers was going to come to the Jets right before, he had number 12. That was Joe Namath's number. Joe Namath said Aaron Rodgers could use his number. He said he'd be glad to give it to him. Give Aaron Rodgers credit. He didn't want to use Joe Namath's number. He wanted to form his own legacy as a Jet, which he didn't form a good one as it turned out, but that's another story.
Oh, he got a legacy, all right.
But that's another. I knew you were going to take a cheap shot at him, Sonja. I wanted to
First
get it out of
quarterback
the
to
way
take a
with my
snap.
own remarks.
He literally took a snap with the first snap. Aaron Rodgers
Jack,
took
she
a
learned-
snap
she learned
with
from
the
the
first
best.
snap.
Jack, she learned from the best.
Yep.
Saints organization is trash.
Yes, that's right. You always come for us, Jack. I am ready today. Aaron Rodgers is the first quarterback to take a snap with the first snap, and I mean the snap.
No, the guy got injured. We can't joke about that. An injury.
No, it's a fact. It's not a joke. He got snapped.
But LT put it perfectly. Make your own legacy. Get your own number. I'm sick of this type of thing. If a number's retired, it shouldn't come out of retirement. I mean, what's the purpose of it? I don't get it at all. Listen, there's a little, you could say there's a little precedent when Major League Baseball retired Jackie Robinson's number 42.
Oh, yeah.
Any player wearing it at the time was allowed to continue, and that was Mariano Rivera was wearing number 42. And Mariano Rivera didn't mean, nearly as much to the game of baseball historically as Jackie Robinson, but he was one of the top 10 Yankee icons in history there. So he was allowed to wear the number until Mariano retired. He was allowed to wear it actively, which was the right decision Major League Baseball made. But in the case of Abdul Carter, I mean, come on. These numbers are retired, but we see other cases where numbers are coming out of retirement from old-time players, okay? And it's just wrong, I mean, I think, to take a number out of retirement.
Jtrain, I mean, let's try to get you in here while we can, because that's 5 minutes right there. Thanks, Jack.
If it's wrong, then tell other players to stop former players to stop relinquishing and giving the numbers to other players. If it's wrong, tell them to stop that. Michael Irvin gave it to Des Bryant, gave it to CD Lamb. 88 was retired, but he said you can wear this number. I don't understand. I agree with you with the LT situation. I agree that I didn't have a problem with what he told him or how he told him. Go find your own legacy. But at the same time, I think that how many numbers can you have? There's only 100 numbers, including 0, available. So you can't retire all those numbers. So eventually, somebody's got to say, okay, are we going to retire? It doesn't. You have so many great people, but you have so many people in a ring of honor. How do you not retire? Retire a number and not say, okay, this particular person was great at their level. They wore the same number. Why can't they have that same number as well? I just don't think that the numbers should be retired. I think, even though it's tradition, it's a number. It doesn't take away from who you are and what your greatness was. But again, if somebody, and maybe that person wore your number in college and prove to be just as great because you're the person that they looked up to. So you got to be looking at it from different perspectives. I think that, okay, I know he wore 11 in college, but maybe he looked at, okay, I'm going to this team where this guy, like you said, his heart was in the right place. This is probably a guy that I idolize or that I watch film on because he's probably too young to really know who Lawrence Taylor is besides watching film and what he's heard. But still, to say that you look at somebody like this, when I watch Lawrence Taylor, this is the greatest linebacker to ever play football to me, and he changed the game. So maybe I want his number because I want to show that I can do the same thing because I looked at him and idolized him. But I don't think that number should be retired. I think that you put the person's name up there for their greatness in the Ring of Honor, who they are. The number doesn't mean 56 doesn't mean anything. What Lawrence Taylor did, his actions on the field meant everything. You put his name up there, even if it's just LT, you're still going to know who LT was. A number shouldn't mean anything. It should be what the name was, the name on the back, the jersey, and what they did on the field, and that should be their legacy.
You make a really good point. I never thought about that, Jtrain. When you first started talking, I was ready to disagree wholeheartedly, not because it's you, but just because I do agree that the numbers, when they're retiring, that's the greatest honor a player can have next to getting into the Hall of Fame, in my opinion, to know that your contribution on the field was so significant that you have established, you set the high bar, as they say. And a rookie coming in, like Bistrilla said, has not set that bar. These rookies need to focus on setting their own legacy. Rick says, maybe Colorado can get it for the 5th round draft pick. That's hilarious, Rick. But I will say this, now that you posed the name, because like you guys both said, there's only so many numbers in circulation. If you got a 52-man roster and you got a whole bunch of folks on I call them the B squad. I hope that's not offensive, but that's what I've always called them. You're only going to have, 92 people? You have 92 numbers assigned at any given time. If there are only 100 numbers, what are people wearing? And then it gets into, okay, LT, you want to keep your number out of circulation. What is it, 56A? And then now, Abdul would be with 56B. I feel like it's at the end of the day, that is a great assessment. Miss Linda actually agrees with you, Jtrain. Thank you, Miss Linda. The name, your name is what you don't transfer anywhere. And I think it becomes extremely difficult statistically as the league continues to go on. Right now the league is not super old, but it's 50 years, at least with 50 plus years with a Super Bowl. It existed before that in a different capacity. I'm sure numbers have been recycled from a lot of players who, like I said, another great honor is getting to the Hall of Fame, whose numbers have been recirculated. And you give a good example. Michael Irvin let Des Bryant wear 88. I don't think you should have to reach out to a player and get permission. I think you should be talking with the organization whether or not that number is accessible to you to use. So I'm kind of like on the in-between, as my grandmother said, between and betwixt on this situation. Yes, Jack.
And what happens if Abdul Carter forges a phenomenal career? A great, what is it, one of the all-time great Giants, which is a possibility. And if that happens, when he retires, what are you going to do? Are you going to retire that same number and say it's co-retired belonging to Taylor and Abdul Carter? So Lawrence Taylor would then lose his identity. Same thing, let's say Abdul Carter's like Aaron Donald. He's that good over his career and has a longer career. That would minimize Phil Simms if he gave his number. I agree with James as far as being against retiring numbers. I can understand a rare exception in the case of a Jackie Robinson. You want to honor number 42, but then again, you got to honor Babe Ruth's number 3. And where do you draw the line? And you say, well, if you retire Babe Ruth, then you have to retire Lou Gehrig's, then you have to retire Joe DiMaggio, then you have to retire Mickey Mantle, then you have to retire Willie Mays, you have to retire Hank Aaron's. At what point does it stop? I like the idea of a number always being active. and maybe the team only gives it to certain players. Like if you're the Dodgers, let's say Jackie Robinson's number wasn't retired, I'd maybe allow a Mookie Betts to wear it. Someone who's been a great citizen, a great player on the field. I would manage very carefully who would wear certain numbers. It would have to be the right guy to honor the legacy. But I'd like to see all numbers be active.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I know but like you said, the numbers should go to a great player. I like the situation with Dallas with what Michael Irvin did, giving it to Des Bryant, and then now C.D. Lamb, and then before let's go before Michael Irvin, another great wide receiver that we don't talk about, Drew Pearson wore that 88 as well.
My cousin,
So
yes.
yeah, so a lot of people, I think the legacy should be, yes, like you just said, Jack. The number should go to a specific player that you think is going to be formidable and should worthy to wear that specific number because of all the greats that wore
Yeah, you
it, and
guys
then
agree?
even allow the name to be retired. Sorry, forgive me.
No, you're good. You're good. You agree with that, Jack?
Yeah, pretty much we're on the same page with that.
All right, let's keep it NFL as we take the last question for today. Thank you guys so much for chiming in. Miss Linda agrees with you, Jtrain. She said your name is your legacy. A lot of people have talked about this question right here. This is one of my favorite questions. Mike Tomlin, quote, winning his coach in longest winning streak, excuse me, of the one of the NFL coaches. Guys, we have just seen Pittsburgh not be sure of quarterback situations. They've won a couple of times in the playoffs and in their home again. And we just seen at times a frustrated Mike Tomlin. Will this be the season that it all comes to an end for him, that he hangs it up?
Well, I don't know, will he hang it up? And Pittsburgh's the type of organization they don't like to fire coaches, but there's a certain fatigue in their fan base. I'm going to try to make it short so you can respond. That they're not happy with Mike Tomlin. They're getting tired of the same scenario every year. They have a winning record. If they do get in the playoffs, they get eliminated immediately. They're not a Super Bowl threat. He's going to have to go 9-8 again, at least 9-8, to maintain that winning streak of what is it, like 17 years or thereabouts. He doesn't have a quarterback. And if Aaron Rodgers comes along, guess what? A 42-year-old quarterback. We don't know how much Aaron Rodgers has left. And who's he going to throw to outside of DK Metcalf? Who's he going to hand the ball off to? They've got no running game. Mike Tomlin's going to have to do one of his great coaching jobs to go 9-8 this year. I think it finally comes to an end for Mike Tomlin, this winning streak. And I think the Steelers come upon hard times. I could see them finishing up like 7-10 or thereabouts.
Jtrain?
Usually, I would agree with you because of that makes logical sense. I just think that this is a situation because Aaron Rodgers' name is put in the mix. It's illogical to even think that he's going to retire because you don't want to leave it on a situation where you saw how Rodgers did with talent in New York, and it was abysmal. But he, like you said, I heard you mention before, Rodgers still put up numbers, and I think he still has the ability to do that with DK Metcalf. I don't know if they have Mike Williams there still. I'm not sure, but
No, Mike
they have
Williams went back to the Chargers.
he went
Yeah.
back to the Chargers, yes.
Get
So
up out of there.
they may have some talent there. We'll see. I don't know what their position is at running back either. I know that the one kid that's still there, they let Najee Harris go.
He went
But
to the Chargers as well.
right, exactly. The Chargers are going to be exciting.
Yeah, they're going to be electrocuted.
But I just don't see Mike Tomlin finishing his career because, like you said, they don't fire coaches. So he wants to go out on top. I mean, look at the last coach before his tenure. He won a Super Bowl and then he retired. Um, uh, I think Mike Tomlin, as proud as he is as a man and as a coach, wants to go out on top. So I think he's going to be there for a couple more years. He may be a little burnt out. He looks like he's a little burnt out, but I think he's going to stay there until they at least have some level of success in the playoffs. And they, mind you, they just went to the playoffs last season, and lost, of course. But they have an opportunity to still get there. I think they still can get there, and I think Aaron Rodgers is likely going to be the quarterback there, and they'll still have an opportunity to win.
Well, they staggered into the playoffs. They lost their last few games. I mean, they were going in the wrong direction.
I mean, when you think
I
about
agree.
it, he does have one of the longest winning record, Scouts, 18 winning seasons. And I mean, but we've seen the frustration there. Jack just noted how many players have left. I mean, it seems unorganized at this point. It doesn't seem like the Pittsburgh Steelers of old. They are unsure about their quarterback position. Everybody knows that. It's still like as I always say, the verdict's out. I need to really coin that phrase. The verdict's out on whether or not they have a true quarterback at their franchise. Mike Tomlin, on a personal level, his daughter was starting school somewhere outside of the DC area last year, and it was contemplated. However, he does have a contract that is guaranteed through 2027. But I'm pretty sure, as we see with everything, contracts have loopholes where anybody can get out of them at any point.
Sonja, what does it, Mike Tomlin's daughter starting school outside of the DC area have to do with him coaching in
Decide he wants to
Pittsburgh? It got me
relocate.
confused. Yeah.
People make the personal decisions all the time, Jack. We've seen it.
But the geography, I don't see the logic behind it.
Listen here, sir. Listen here,
sir. Right next to DC.
Now, what you won't do is come
like
here and block my comment.
Ravens.
Yes, he may take a sabbatical, Jack, to try to focus on just relocating, taking some mental time, and regrouping, getting away from Pittsburgh. And then he may pull a Sean Payton. He may bounce out for like a season and then come back. Like we've seen it. So, it's not about geographical. I'm letting you guys know that he may do something else. Hi, Dennis. Good morning. And one question here from the audience, Jack, before you come back with another rhetoric.
No, well, we're running out of time. So I'm gonna
Bistro says, is Tomlin taking advantage of the fact Pittsburgh's front office won't fire him? That's a good question. Thank you, Richard. See you tomorrow. Yeah, you guys think that? Happy Saturday.
I'll make it quick. Tomlin's done a good job all over the years. They've been winning. He's not taking advantage. Come on. They have a great relationship. Kudos to the Steelers for, showing patience with their coaches, Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin. Kudos to them for their history.
Yeah, kudos for the history. Great debate show as always, Jack. Much the fun and spark. Jtrain, always the voice of reason. We appreciate you. We thank everybody for all the likes, loves, comments. Join us tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the big Sunday morning sports show. We wish you guys all a good Saturday and happy Mother's Day to everybody. Happy Mother's Day weekend. And we will see you all in the morning at 8 a.m. sharp. Thank you guys for everything and good day.